Alright, what is going on guys? And just like in the title, I want to talk about the three main differences between linear, standard, and dynamic. A lot of players, when they first start playing Call of Duty, they don't even touch with these settings. Or even players who have been playing for a long time and they want to finally look at their aim settings and tweak it to see if they can improve their aim. Then they finally look at these three different definitions of like standard, linear, and dynamic, and everything goes out the window. They don't give enough clarity to truly understand the differences between these aim response curves. Like, let's read the definitions that these things have. Okay, let's start with standard. Ideal for new players. Slow starting movement that speeds up over the aiming rate. Power curve map from aim stick to aim rate. The reason why I'm quoting it is because when you read those definitions and terms as a new player, or for any player that hasn't looked at these type of settings before, this literally can go in one ear and out the other because no one understands these definitions. And it's not their fault. Call of Duty, for whatever reason, expects you to understand these terms and definitions, and even when you try to Google it, it's still confusing. Like now when you look at the linear, right? Linear is ideal for players who have mastered the tweaking of aim settings. The aiming stick maps directly to the aiming rate. I'm still lost and confused on that. Dynamic, ideal for more experienced players. Fast starting movement that slows down to the aiming rate. Reverse S-curve map. Now, I don't know about you, but my mind completely shut off the moment I saw reverse S-curve mapping for the first time. And that's the reason why I want to make this video. I want you guys to understand the differences between the three, and I want to try to simplify it the best way that I can so that you'll know which aim response curve type is going to be the best for you. So let's start with the explanation of aim stick and aim rate. What do they mean by that? So aim stick is the amount of, it's very similar to dead zone input, is the amount of pressure that you apply on the sticks for that movement. I know it's weird. I don't know why they don't call it like aim input strength or stick pressure strength, but it's aim stick. That's how much you're pressing on the stick. And aim rate is how fast your cursor or your reticule moves based on how much pressure you put on the aim stick. And then that last term that they use is power curve map in the standard definition, right? So what power curve is that it artificially increases the speed of your aim, not based on your stick rate. I know I just explained that it's connected to that, but that's more of a linear setting. For standard, say for linear, right? If for linear definition is if I press the stick small, it's gonna move slow. If I press the stick medium, it's gonna move at a medium speed. But if I press the stick hard, it's gonna move at a fast speed. That is the idea of linear. But with standard, what happens is even though I'm pressing at a low pressure, the power curve map is going to make my aim actually move faster than it's supposed to be. The reason why it's made like that in standard is for beginner players, they don't have thumb control. They're already aggressive from the beginning. So what happens is, in order to not be too aggressive, because remember in linear, if you press the sticks extremely hard, you're going to move extremely fast. But with standard, it kind of limits you. It puts you in like a medium speed rate until you actually get to the very end of your hit. That's when it actually moves fast. All right, so hearing myself explain it, I'm even getting confused myself. So let me try to simplify it even further. Let's use percentages, right? Let's say for linear, if you're pushing at a 50% on your stick, you're moving at a 50% speed. That's your aim rate. But for standard, the way it works is even if you're pressing 50% on the stick, you're moving at a 75% speed rate. So that's what it means about how that power curve, it pushes it up more aggressive, even though you may not be aggressive on your sticks. I really hope this kind of simplified what standard is. Let me know in the comments below if you're still confused, just for my personal feedback. All right, so now let's move on to linear, right? We're going into linear. Let's do another recap of what linear is. Linear is ideal for players who have mastered the tweaking of the aim settings. The aiming stick maps directly to the aiming rate. Remember what we talked about, right? Aiming stick is the pressure that you put on the stick, and aiming rate is the speed in which your target, your dot, your crosshairs move. So with linear, the way that it is if you press 10% on the sticks, it's going to move at 10% speed. If you press 50% on the sticks, it's going to move exactly at 50% speed, so on and so forth. So linear, right? It's at a linear angle. Remember, with standard, it doesn't go at a diagonal aim rate. It kind of goes low and then it speeds up fast. low, speeds up fast. That is standard. Linear is no, it doesn't go low and speed up fast. It goes as much as you press the sticks. You press the sticks soft, it goes slow. You press the sticks hard, it goes fast. That's ideal. Linear was actually easier to explain. So the reason why linear is for more experienced players is because in order to have that speed, in order to match that speed properly to aim, right, you need to understand when to slow down on your thumbs. Beginner players, they don't know how to slow down on their thumbs. They're too heavy with it. They don't know how to apply finer movement. So to compensate that for standard, right, they purposely slow down how aggressive the aim becomes when they're pushing on the sticks, because they don't know how to master it yet. So in linear, it doesn't stop you on how fast you move your crosshairs, because you understand how much pressure you need to apply on the sticks. All right, so moving on to dynamic. Now let's read up dynamic. Ideal for more experienced players. Fast starting movement that slows down to the aiming rate. Reverse S-curve mapping. Now remember what happened in standard, right? The way that standard is, it's low and then it aggressively speeds up. What happens with dynamic is it doesn't start low speed on your aim. The aim rate is actually high, even though your aim stick is going to be low. So what that means is you have to be finer with your pressure on the sticks, because if you're already aggressive, you're already at moving at a high speed. You're going to move at even faster speed, and it's going to throw off your aim. That's the idea for dynamic. Instead of going upwards like that for standard, it's actually going downward. It's actually starting high and going slow. All right, I blew myself up so that you can see my controller. Now, you won't see it with a lot of players. A lot of players who are more finer with their movement, when you're being aggressive on your aim stick, okay? If you notice, my thumb is flat. Most times when you're moving really aggressive, you have a flat thumb. But when players need to control their recoil and they need to move only slightly, not aggressively, you'll see a lot of players angle their thumb like this. Like for me, when I'm playing, right, I'm aiming, aggressive aiming, aggressive aiming. When I need to counter recoil and I need to finer my control, I don't stay flat. By muscle memory, I actually curve my thumb up. So that way, when I have a curved thumb up like this, it only allows me to micro input on the stick. Because if I stay low like this and a flat thumb and I try to micro input, I can't control it. It's going to be too aggressive. That's why with every single gun engagement, when I'm going from movement to aim and shooting a player, it goes from flat to high. That's the reason why a lot of people like control freaks, because people don't know how to angle their thumb upwards. Control freak already rises their thumb to make sure that they can do that finer movement. The only thing that control freak doesn't tell you is that when you need to go back to aggressive movement, it's actually better to go flat thumb rather than an angled thumb. But you can't do that with control freaks because it's already at a raised process. If you try to flat thumb it on top like that with control freaks, you're not going to have that correct movement that you want. But there are players who stand by with control freaks and it really helps them with their aim. Hey, that's totally cool. If it works for you, it works for you. If you feel that when you use control freaks and you actually performed worse, that's probably the reason. So that was my first attempt of trying to simplify the distinctions between standard, linear, and dynamic. So let's kind of summarize everything. Standard, okay? Best way to explain standard. If you're moving your sticks at 10%, your aim speed is actually moving at 20%. But when you are in linear, linear is if you're moving your sticks at 10%, it is moving the speed at 10%. It is matching exactly what you're inputting on your sticks. The reason why it does that is because you now have more finer input control, so you know which percentage of aim speed that you need during your fights and when you're aiming. And the last one is dynamic. Dynamic is mainly used for players who try to utilize movement, who try to utilize being quick, because what they need is they need speed. The reason why is they'll move fast, they'll have good senses on moving fast, and they also need to aim quick. So for example, dynamic, when you're trying to get on target here. But for people, they don't know when to stop on target. But sometimes when you don't have that movement control, you're going to overshoot your target. You're either going to go past them, maybe you're going to fall right behind them too low because you don't know how much to press the sticks. For dynamic players, they know exactly how much to press the sticks to get on target. And that's why I explained earlier with my thumbs, right? With dynamic, they're going to flat thumb it, get on target. But when they're shooting on target, your thumb curves upwards to create the finer input control. I really hope this was an okay explanation, guys. Please let me know in the comments again. If it is confusing, hey, that is great. That is good feedback for me to understand. But if you did kind of understand it a little bit better and now you have a better idea of where you should start or what aim response curve you should change to based on your playstyle, let me know in the comments below. If anything, guys, I hope you enjoyed the content. Please drop a like on the video. It helps it tremendously in the algorithm. If you did enjoy the content overall, please drop a sub to the channel. We would love to see you here for the next videos. If anything, guys, stay pure, stay noble, and as always, hashtag bring back honest gaming. Noble out.